podcast, everyone. I am your host, Chatmendy, along with no one right now. Now, hold on. You can't see my screen. You give me a moment. One moment. There's been a problem. All right. We're good. All right, now you can see stuff. I am your host, Chatmendy, along with my co-host, Nobody. As of now, maybe Gavin will be here later. But for now, I'm going to be doing these recaps. Normally it's split down the middle, and since I was blind last weekend, we didn't do any of this. So, I would do week 13. No.
I am now CO host.
So, let's start with the Steelers-Vikings game, and give me a moment if it takes me a second to remember about a week and a half ago. But Steelers-Vikings, Dalvin Cook killed the Steelers in pretty much the entire game. They ran all over the Steelers. The Steelers came back in the second half because they only like to play football in the second half. But the Vikings held out. For once, the Vikings didn't Viking because the Steelers can't win these close games anymore. They get blown out, they come back, and then they lose. That's just the Steelers' way nowadays, I suppose. Cowboys football team, speaking of a game where a team came back and then lost anyway, it was the Cowboys just in a flurry quickly. Micah Parsons was phenomenal. Randy Gregory had a pick. Taylor Heinicke really struggled, mostly because he had no time in the pocket and his receivers weren't catching anything. Besides this one amazing play by Cam Sims. But no one else was really wanting to catch the ball. Everyone's saying, oh, it's a terrible Taylor Heinicke week, and I would love to see any quarterback play well behind that offensive line like they were playing. It was rough for him. He was having a bad day. He got injured. Kyle Allen came in. He thought this game was wrapped up, and then Dak Prescott threw a pick six to Cole Holcomb, and all of a sudden it mattered again. They stopped the Cowboys, and then there was a strip sack, I think. No, it was just a regular sack, I think. I don't remember. But the Cowboys ended up pulling it out, and I believe that pretty much clinched them in the division. The football team, in theory, could win it. I think if the Cowboys lose out and the football team win out. But I don't know. I can't remember exactly. Anyway, Niners-Bengals. This game was ridiculous. The Bengals bangled a little bit. The Niners... With George Kittle, the Niners are a good football team. Without George Kittle, the Niners are a bad football team. He is very important to that offense because he kind of just catches things, he run blocks, he does really everything. George Kittle, I guess, is just the piece that glues the team together and makes it a good team. The Bengals have Jamar Chase, who's really good, but the Bengals have this problem. I don't know if Bengals fans have noticed it yet, but when Joe Mixon isn't dominating a football game, the Niners lose. Or not the Niners, the Bengals lose. Because the Jets game, Joe Mixon didn't really do too much. They lost. The week before, Joe Mixon fumbled the ball, had a bunch of yards. Still isn't really that impressive, though. They lost. This week, Joe Mixon was shut down. They lost. Even though they kept it close, Jamar Chase had a great game. Joe Burrow was really, really good. But at the end of the game, I believe it was Brandon Ayuk made this absurd touchdown play in overtime, and the Niners held it out. These are two up-and-coming teams that, if they continue on their trajectory, should be good for a few years, or at least a while. But we'll see how Trey Lance develops, and we'll see if Joe Burrow and the Bengals can continue to build around them. Jaguars, Titans, and the only thing that came out of this game was pretty much there was two things that happened that really finally saved the Jaguars. The Titans shutting them out. The Jags got shut out by Urban Meyer's former assistant, Mike Vrabel, who's just been a better NFL coach. But and then we'll get to the entire Urban Meyer stuff later. But the Titans won. Trevor Lawrence threw 4 picks. He threw more picks than the Jags had points, which is 0. The Titans offense didn't really have to do anything. Devontae Foreman and Ryan Tannehill each rushed for a touchdown. James Robinson was... The Titans' run defense is ridiculously good. Their pass defense is not so much, but their run D is phenomenal. And the Titans are now in control of their own destiny. Because if they beat the Steelers, they hold the 1 seed in the AFC after a game we'll talk about in a second. But it was a good win for the Titans. They really kind of needed one of these where they just didn't let a bad team play better than them. The Seahawks and the Texans. This game felt like it was somehow going to be close in maybe the first 5 minutes. And then it wasn't. The Seahawks were like, hey, we want to play offense today. So then they did, and they killed the Texans. That's all you really need to know. General Davis Mills looked more competent than Tyrod Taylor has recently, but that's not saying a lot. Russ is cooking. Probably a barbecue because they're in Houston. I don't know. Game was alright. Raiders Chiefs. Raiders gathered on the logo before a NFL game, which never goes well. And I remember, I'm going to bring this up pretty much every time anyone gathers on the logo. Ravens were mad. The Titans did something they've done for years and do a team meeting at midfield. But the Raiders just did it because they're playing the Chiefs. In Arrowhead, they're like, we'll get them now. Even though their team sucks and they've lost most of their team because they're either getting into gang violence, killing people, just sending racist and homophobic emails to other GMs. It's rough for the Raiders. Kansas City murdered them. Derek Carr, not good. He was dying. Patrick Mahomes probably could have closed his eyes and just threw it and it would have been a touchdown the way this game was going. The Raiders were killed, murdered, slaughtered, put out to pasture. It was a bad day for Vegas. Very, very bad day for Vegas. Next, we have the Saints and the Jets. Taysom Hill did Taysom Hill things, which he can only do, might I add, when there's Alvin Kamara on the field, who came back and they killed the Jets. It's a much-needed win to keep them in the race for their division, which isn't locked up yet because no team has clinched a playoff spot, because I guess no team wants to do that. Actually, the Chiefs might have, I don't remember. But the Saints beat the Jets. Congratulations, New Orleans. You get to stay in that terrible wild card race for the NFC. And the Jets, congratulations. Your draft pick continues to not be good. Next we have Panthers Falcons. And the story of this game is that the Panthers suck. No, the Panthers just need a quarterback. Cam Newton, not good. PJ Walker, not good. They benched Cam Newton for PJ Walker, and then PJ Walker got benched for Cam Newton. And neither of them are good. The Falcons won, which I guess keeps them in the wild card race. The NFC sucks. This game was not that great. These teams are not good and should be nowhere near the wild card race or even have a chance to make the playoffs at this point in the season. But here they are, and they're trying their damnedest. Next, we have the Baltimore injuries against the Cleveland COVIDs. Lamar got hurt. I don't know if he's a expected player or not. I haven't looked into it. I was kind of blind during the Sunday, so I was listening to most of these games. Cleveland demolished Ravens in the first half. And in the second half, budget Lamar Jackson, Lamar Light, as I like to call him, it brought them back. And then, I'll get into it later, but Cleveland won. Baltimore is injured. Cleveland has COVID. Cleveland might get pretty much the Madden equivalent to a forced loss. Next, Chargers Giants. Chargers won easily. Giants suck. Who knew? Everyone. There's not really much that needs to be said about this. Giants aren't a good team. They are a bad team. Joe Judge needs to go. Bernie Madoff needs to go. David Gettleman needs to go. Everyone just needs to go. Everyone, bye. Sayonara. Daniel Jones needs to go. He didn't even play, but he just needs to go. Next, we have Lions Broncos in the memorial game to the late all-time great Demaryius Thomas. May he rest in peace. They did a video, I believe, at the beginning of the game. Remember his career. They had his number on the field. and they left it empty for the first play. Broncos took a delay of game. The Lions declined it. Thank God they declined it, man. But it also would have been really funny if they didn't. And then the Broncos proceeded to do what they do whenever they win and just run the ball effectively and play good defense. And whenever they lose, they try passing the ball. And the Lions really couldn't do much. But this game was more for Demaryius Thomas. And unfortunately, Lions, you may have won last week, but you weren't the one getting cheered for probably the first time this season. May Demaryius Thomas rest in peace. Now moving on from that, which is he's no way to really transition from that. It's the Buffalo Bills took on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and here's a hot take that I don't think's become that I think people need to hear. I think people are starting to think it, but I think they need to hear. Buffalo is not ready to make a playoff run. They are not a playoff caliber team right now. There's so many. I can think of at least 8 teams that would make a better impact in the playoffs than the Buffalo Bills. They can't run the ball. They have no one in their front 7 that's competent. Their secondary's injured. Their play calling abysmal. They don't show up. And I know this game, they'll blame the refs. But you were losing 24-3 in the first half. Sure, the score flipped in the second, but you don't let that happen and then reasonably think, oh yeah, blame the refs. What are you thinking, bro? What are you thinking, Buffalo? Sure, that wasn't PI at the end of the game on Mike Evans. No, it wasn't. No one can tell me otherwise. And sure, the Bucs corners were playing rough on the Bills, and then that happened. They're like, penalty. But Buffalo probably didn't deserve to win this game anyway, but neither did Tampa. Tampa got bailed out by the refs, but the Bills also suck. And I don't think the Bills are a playoff caliber team with the way they're playing. The way they've been playing since they lost to the Titans, they are not a playoff team. They are also not feeling very well. They all have COVID. The Bills... Yeah, the Raiders killed themselves. Even with all that, there are so many better AFC teams than the Bills. There's the Colts. There's the Titans. I won't even name division leaders, right? So we obviously know... You probably would have gotten slapped across the face. The Chiefs are better. The Bengals are better. I would even say the Steelers are better. Because at least you know what you're getting with the Steelers. The Steelers keep it close. The Steelers make it compete with these teams. The Bills really don't. They make the score look like it, but this game was never really close. The Bucs just stopped trying in the second half and then went, oh shit, we have to do something now. Their defense sucks. People say the Bills' defense is stout. Their defense sucks. Their front 7 is one of the worst in the league. They get 0 pressure. Their run defense is shit. All they have is 2 safeties. Tre'Davious White is not even playing because he's injured. The Bills suck. The Bills are a bad football team. Their O-line is so awful. And I'm tired of people saying, it's just one bad week. They've had how many bad weeks now? Is it defendable anymore? The Bills are a bad football team. They're not a bad football team. They're a mediocre football team. Josh Allen is trying to carry this team, and no one else wants to do anything. Sean McDermott, by the way, has been probably silently a bottom half coach in the league this year. His play calling has been on Matt Nagy levels. It's been bad. Like, go back to that game that we didn't cover because eye's bad. With the Patriots. They threw the ball 3 times and you lost that football game in the modern NFL. And then Sean McDermott has the balls in a press conference to go, I didn't get out-coached by Bill Belichick. Yes, you did, you dipshit. The Bills irritate me because they should be better, but they're just dumb. And I feel like it's how Bills fans have felt since they lost those 4 Super Bowls. Anyway, now that I'm done ranting about how the Bills aren't a playoff caliber team, Bears, Packers, and I mean, you want to cover this one? You haven't had a game yet. No, let's make it right. Let's get something clear. Only Jakeem Grant, he was. Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, he kicked some field goals. Congrats, Chicago. Yeah, you weren't able to do that a few years ago. They were leading at half. Yeah, and then in the second half, Aaron Rodgers whipped out his massive schlong on the Bears and said, Yeah. I feel like it's only Roquan Smith that does anything. Not Roquan Smith, Robert Quinn. Roquan Smith, I think, has been hurt. Yeah. Khalil Mack's out for the year. It's been shit. He's been shit. He had, I think, they have no other goddamn corner on that team. Kindle Vildor is a liability. Who would they try to replace him with? Artie Burns, whose last name should just say how good he is at corner. I can't even think of another corner. Their slot corner got hurt, and he was not good. He was definitely severely below average, but the best thing they had at the time, and he's hurt. So the Bears, rough. I don't even know, I'm kind of in my head thinking, how much of this is Matt Nagy's fault? I know people, oh shit, my mic fell over. I know Bears fans hate Matt Nagy and their and his play calling and stuff, right? But Ryan Pace fucked this team over more than Matt Nagy ever could. A team that coaches so conservative it's a detriment, or a team that tries to have massive cojones but doesn't have the O-line or receivers to do that. Darnell Mooney's been great for the Bears, though. We love Darnell Mooney. So he's gotten very little targets. I don't know if that's because he's not getting open. I don't watch as much NFL film as I do college film when it comes to draft season. Because where the fuck am I gonna find NFL film? Streaks. I see it. He runs streaks and curls. He's like DK Metcalf, and he's not DK Metcalf. I don't think Justin Fields really likes throwing the ball more than really 10 yards down the field. Think how often you see Justin Fields cork one. I think maybe he's done it a couple times to Darnell Mooney, and that's it. Go back to that game against the Ravens, the Marquise Goodwin touchdown. Andy Dalton threw that. So, I mean, I don't know. Packers won. Doesn't matter. Rams, Cardinals. I think I was busy, so I didn't get to watch much of this game. I see the Rams won. I knew they won. But I have no idea how how anybody played. Well, it's because people were starting to say maybe he should win the MVP, so therefore he must play bad. I thought you were talking about Jalen Ramsey played a terrible game. I was like, what do you do? Go and stick the ref while he's injured? Just bang! With COVID, he's like, cough, cough. Oh, huh. That would do it, huh? I'm happy the Rams won a football game. They really needed this. Yeah, honestly, like, people are like, I love cheering for the Cardinals. They're such underdogs. I think it's just my disdain for the way for Cliff Kingsbury, because I think this team could be ridiculously good if they had a better head coach. And I know people are like, Cliff Kingsbury coach of the year, and I'm like, what football are you watching? This Jets game. I talked about this earlier. I don't know if you listened to it when I was talking about the Bengals game. When Joe Mixon isn't producing at an extremely high rate, the Bengals lose the football game, even if the rest of the team is playing really well. Like that 49ers game, Joe Mixon was pretty much obsolete. And sure, it was close, but they still lost. That Jets game, Joe Mixon wasn't like the main focus of the offense. They lost. The game they played the week before. The game before, like he had a lot of yards, but he wasn't like necessarily effective. He had a solid game. Joe Mixon literally put the ball on the floor, and they lost. The team is so reliant on Joe Mixon that I think once, like Jamar Chase is really good, Joe Burrow's good. I think Joe Burrow just doesn't like Tyler Boyd because I feel like he never throws to Tyler Boyd. And the defense, I think people say the Bengals defense is like atrociously bad. I think it's average. That's mostly because Trey Hendrickson has been really good this year. People won't notice that because he's on the Bengals. Their D-line is really good. I don't think anyone cares, like I said, because they're the Bengals. Their linebacking core is young and has potential. No one cares because the Bengals. It's just they're really their corners. They have Jesse Bates, who's phenomenal. Probably a top 3 at worst top 5 safety in the league. Von Bell is there, and so is Ricardo Allen, I guess. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm going on a tirade about something that doesn't fucking matter. Chiefs, Chargers. Now, I did watch this game because my eyes were better. Therefore, I was able to physically watch this game. And was crying in the shower afterwards. Gavin, who before the season was the biggest Chargers fan, not because he's a fan of the Chargers, he just thought the Chargers were going to be like the best team ever. They were... Donald Parham thing happened. Has there been an update on what's going on with him? He had a scary injury. It appeared to be having a seizure. getting carted off the field, which is terrifying. That's something you never want to see on live television. And then, of course, in classic... Was this on Fox or was it on NBC? I think it was... Okay, of course it was Fox. Yeah, Fox shows the guy having a seizure on a stretcher. I'm like, what the why would you show this to the world? Oh, he's real cold. It's so cold in LA on the ground right now. That... I think that's just like well, I got an A on my psych final. Why can't I think of it? Whatever. Doesn't matter. It's just the effect where you don't want something to be worst case scenarios, and you think of whatever the fuck to try and make it seem better. Like, it's something dissociation probably, but no, he started going goo goo gaga on the mic. Whatever. Chargers went on to an early lead. And then the Chargers didn't play in the second half, as the Chargers do. And pretty much, we'll skip all the middle parts because the Chargers chargered. You know how that goes. And then the game was sealed by a Travis Kelce touchdown because the Chargers defense can't tackle for shit. Is anyone surprised? No. And then did any of these Saturday games get played? One of them did. Where the fuck is it? Yeah. Browns Raiders was supposed to be today. So it was football team Eagles. Football team Eagles was supposed to be today too. But they flexed Colts Patriots, which was supposed to be Sunday night football, Saturday night football. So that they could probably fill some contractual obligations. Now, this is a win-win game for the Titans, where if the Colts lose and the Titans win, they clinch the division. But if the Colts win and the Titans win, they get the 1 seed. Not clinched, but they get control of the AFC and their destiny. So it's a win-win. I just got a message that says the star of the Ravens defense. What that means, I have no idea. Alright. The Patriots played a sloppy game of football. I think it was... The Colts played good football, besides Carson Wentz. I wasn't able to watch much of the game. I would just check in the score sometimes. I'd see like highlights and stuff. Because I was out of town watching something else live. Jonathan Taylor is pretty much the only thing keeping this Colts team having any shot at making a deep playoff run. And if he gets hurt, you're fucked. This is probably the worst Mac Jones game Mac Jones has had since the beginning of the season, I want to say. Bill Belichick will then give him 25 lashings for losing to Indianapolis, which hadn't happened since 2009. Is that correct? When Peyton Manning was around. And that's when the Colts owned the Patriots. Ever since then, okay, yeah, there's that one game, but that one game was really impressive. But the Colts ended up winning. Therefore, Titans beat the Steelers. They are the 1 seed in the AFC once again, which would be impressive considering their entire fucking team is injured. It really just shows how big of a shit show that AFC is. Do I think the Titans will beat the Steelers? We'll get to that later. Because I have my Players of the Week. And like I said, I didn't get to watch much football. I was having very bad eye pain. I couldn't, leave pitch black darkness without being in extreme pain. So, my Players of the Week might be a little scuffed. I have one. It's Myles Garrett. Without Myles Garrett, the Browns lose. I could have said JOK, but that'd just be BM to Ravens fans, wouldn't it? For the NFC, I have Micah Parsons. defensive-wise. Offensive-wise, I'm not quite sure where to put where. I think Rodgers makes sense for the NFC. Because he had a ridiculous game. But I can't think of who the AFC would go to. Like, I guess you can say Jonathan Taylor for today because it's in that time frame. But, like, I don't even know. Who deserves it? Like, none of these teams really deserve it. Like, maybe Mahomes. Like, I could just give it to Mahomes because he had a great game against the Raiders and then the Chargers. So I guess I'll give it to him because he got 2 performances and he had 2 great performances. Therefore, Mahomes gets it. That was probably the most scuffed one of these I've done. Well, speaking of scuffed, we have predictions where all the time frames of these games are wrong. Football team Eagles and Browns Raiders on Monday now, right? And then what got moved to Tuesday? Okay. Alright, so we'll start with Jets. No, we'll just go in order because I'll forget to go back to the top. Football team Eagles. I have the Eagles because the football team is dead and is currently starting a plus-size male model at guard? Or because they have so many COVID things, so I just don't think it's a possibility the football team wins, which is unfortunate because that pretty much just kills their playoff hopes. Because let's be honest, they'll lose that 7th seed and then never get it back. The Eagles do suck. So it's possible the Eagles somehow fuck it up, but I don't think they will. I'm not saying that either. I think the Eagles, but you have to realize the Saints, a team out of the Saints, Panthers, Falcons, Eagles football team is going to make the playoffs. Vikings. Proud to say the Vikings. It's a shit show over there. You think the AFC bad? At least all the teams making the playoffs will probably have a winning record. So we're going Eagles here. We have Browns, Raiders. Now, I don't know who to pick for this one because the Browns seem to play better when their entire team is COVID. Although their starting quarterback is currently... who'd they sign? Nope. Niners guy last year. That one. Yeah, he's their quarterback this week. I don't think the Raiders have much COVID stuff going on, so I'm going to pick the Raiders because the Browns also don't have their entire coaching staff, so they're going to get coached by a Microsoft Surface. The Steelers weren't 11-0 when they played them. The football team beat the... I think Derek Carr... I think Derek Carr will try his best and the rest of the team won't, but I think the Raiders will still win. Next we have Jets Dolphins. I think the Dolphins win this game. I don't think that further really needs to be said because they've had lots of momentum. Tua's been really good, and the Jets suck. Any disagreement? All right. So the Bills, congratulations. Here's a game you probably will win. Granted, you lost to the fucking Jags. Granted, the Titans lost to the Texans and the Jets, but they beat you. So where does that put you in the hierarchy? But the Panthers are probably the coldest team in football right now. Besides, these bad teams. Because think about how awful the Panthers have been recently. Their quarterbacks are throwing 5 picks a game. They can't play any offense. Their defense has been they've shown flashes because they're all young and developing, but it's kind of shit. I don't even think the Bills find a way to lose this game, and they find ways to lose lots of games. I have no idea. Probably, because they're just trying to sell jerseys at this point and fan service. and somehow they'll find their way into the playoffs. Next, we have Cowboys Giants. Do the Cowboys have any COVID stuff going on? That's impressive. They played the football team, and the football team died. But the Cowboys are like, nah, fam, we good. That's probably because they're in Texas. I still think the Cowboys win. I think the Cowboys win because the Giants are, if it's not the Panthers, the Giants are one of the most embarrassing things to watch in the NFL right now. I know the Jets exist, but that's like what you expect from them. I know that you expect from the Giants too, but it impresses you how bad the Giants have been. I don't think you're going to disagree with me, and if you do, okay, that's what I thought. Texans Jaguars. I have the Jaguars, who will fire Urban Meyer. Like I said, I'll get to that after I do all this. I'll get to the Urban Meyer stuff, and then we'll do power rankings. I think the Jags win because for the same reason I picked the Raiders to win after John Gruden got fired. Teams who get their head coach fired tend to win the next week. And the Texans suck. And Trevor Lawrence seems happier that Urban Meyer's gone. And they might run the ball with James Robinson more. He can't be on the bench. He can't get benched by Urban Meyer if Urban Meyer's not there anymore. I mean, like, I think all these assistants know that unless they impress now, they're all fired too. You're right. Urban Meyer called them a bunch of losers anyway. They'll probably lose. I don't know. I just think the Jags are going to win. The Texans are a football team. And so are the Jags. But the Jags have more talent on their team. And they don't have the cancer that is Urban Meyer on their team anymore. Now, I have no idea if their current interim coach, who I believe was their OC before, it is just Urban Meyer light or something. But we'll see. This game won't matter anyway. Both these teams are eliminated from playoff contention. Is it really, though? Are either of these teams going to take a quarterback in this class? Like, because Matt Corral is probably maybe the best QB right now. Maybe? I don't think so. Because all the quarterbacks need to sit for at least a year. Who are they going to have him sit behind? Davis Mills? It's not like he's going to mentor him in anything. They're going to bring in some old guy to mentor him for a year. Yeah, you know he'll get injured and the rookie will be forced to start week 2 anyway. I think if I'm the Texans, I want to lose this game, and I want the Lions to win more games so I can get Kayvon Thibodeau. Or Aiden Hutchinson. I think those two are probably going 1-2 at this point. Maybe a tackle sneaks in there. Those two players have been the best 2 players in the class, and it's not even close. I don't know. We'll see. This draft is going to be wild. I'm not a huge fan of this class, personally. Yeah. Like receivers, I'm not the biggest fan. Garrett Wilson's okay. Ohio State guy, Garrett Wilson. Yes. There is. I thought he was going to be last year, and he didn't. Receivers aren't good. I don't know too much about the running backs. I haven't looked into it yet. Quarterbacks, questionable. Tight ends, I don't really know much about tight ends. I've looked into. Reject questionable. That's what questionable means. We'll see what the Cincinnati guy goes, I guess. Lineman. I think it's a solid lineman class. I think it's a pretty good guard class. I think it's a great tackle class. It's going to be linemen on both sides of the ball. I think filling the top 5 with maybe a corner or 2 sneaking in there and a quarterback or 2 also sneaking in there. I think Thibodeau and Hutchinson are 1 and 2. Depending on who's there at 1 and 2, everyone's there at 1 and 2. Or you're talking about the teams? Like, I don't even think I think a quarterback needy team trades down there. I know, like, yes, they do. Kayla and Chason hasn't done anything. Josh Allen's there. They have nothing else on the D-line. Aiden Hutchinson would be, and Kayvon Thibodeau would both be immediate upgrades to their D-line and be significantly better than whatever they have now. They have needed. Their O-line isn't terrible. They're not like they don't need their wide receiver room. Is actually not that bad. It's just they all hated their coach. Like Marvin Jones is pretty good. Laviska Shenault shows lots of flashes whenever they actually give him the ball. Tight end, sure you can say tight end's a need, but they're not going to take a tight end in the first round with these picks. Like corner, maybe safety for sure, but they're not going to take a safety this high. Kyle Hamilton will probably go within this range, not like 1 and 2, but like be a higher pick for a safety. Even like because he's great, Notre Dame Fighting Irish. But like they're not going to take him there. They're not going to trade down and take Kyle Hamilton. They have like you said bigger needs. And edge is one of the most important positions in the league because you can't get pressure on the quarterback, you lose most games. I learned that last year as a Titans fan. Anyway, Titans Steelers. I don't know. My heart wants to say Titans, and so does my brain, but I don't trust either of them. And they'll win the game 10-7. Maybe. We'll see. Oh, good news for the Titans. Henry might be back as early as week 18. But most likely projected to be back by the playoff. So if they get the 1 seed, they're pretty much guaranteed to get it. Packers, Ravens. I have Packers. Ravens are dead. Even more dead than the Packers. Packers are getting healthy again, so. Packers. Cardinals, Lions. Imagine if the Cardinals lose. Let's just speed through these who took too much time in talking about draft prospects. Bengals, Broncos. I have Bengals. Niners, Falcons, Niners. Niners, Falcons, you have Falcons. Sure. Rams, Seahawks, I have Rams. Saints, Bucks, I have Saints. Vikings, Bears, I have Vikings. And the Christmas game. No, Christmas on Saturday. Shit. The Thursday night game, Niners, Titans. I have Niners. Do we do Saturday? we're not going to stream on Christmas. So like at most we'll do it Friday maybe. I don't know. Packers Browns, Packers if this game even gets played. Colts Cardinals. I hope the Cardinals win. I don't want the Colts to win another game. Like this game doesn't. You can lose to this game, Colts. They clinch. If the Titans either win the next like 3 games, they clinch. I believe. I think if they win this week and next week, they clinch. Mathematically. No. Yes. Maybe. Yeah. But if the Colts lose at any point, they're out pretty much. Out of it, yeah. They'll probably make the playoffs. Yeah, now that we're done with that, we can talk about Urban Meyer. I'll just put it in sequence. There's no really need for commentary. Anything that you've heard already, you've heard opinions a million times. You've heard my opinions. You've heard everyone's opinions. He got hired. It was questionable because he'd been out of college for 2 years, and you'd think even like a university like fucking, I don't even know, West Kentucky would take him. Known for some weird off-the-field issues. Off the field, just weird stuff. Gets signed. Immediately tries to bring in Tim Tebow to move him to tight end. That doesn't work. It's just a little funny haha on the internet for a while. You're like, haha, funny Tim Tebow. They draft Trevor Lawrence, and then they draft Travis Etienne, who they plan to use as either a slot receiver or a third down back. And then he gets a possible like career-altering ending injury before he even plays an NFL game, which you can't control as a team. You don't expect that. But taking a running back in the first round when you have James Robinson is a stupid decision. Let's see, what else have they done here? Then we got to training camp, and we don't find this out until much later. Much later. This is actually the straw that broke the camel's back. But during this time, Josh Lambo is the kicker on the Jaguars, native to our area, local to our area. So honestly, you should thank Josh Lambo, Jaguars fans. He was a great kicker for you, and then he got kicked physically and metaphorically from the team and by Urban Meyer, who was kicking him at practice because he was missing kicks. Imagine John Harbaugh walks up to Justin Tucker because he missed a kick and just starts kicking the shit out of him. And that's not good. The entire locker room over the course of the season loses respect for him. After a game they lose, Urban Meyer doesn't travel home with the team, and the team's like, what the fuck? And then not soon after that, he's caught in his own bar grinding with some random college girl, probably. Having the time of his life. His wife posts a bunch of flamingo emojis, whatever the fuck that means. Still a mystery to me to this day. He loses some more games, beats the Bills. Everyone's just like, just fire Urban Meyer, please. For fuck's sake, please. Then, it's the game a couple weeks ago. James Robinson, their best offensive player and arguably player on the team by far, fumbles a couple times. He's not known for fumbling. Just had a little rough game. Urban Meyer fucking benches him. And then after the game, blames... Who does he blame first? Was it an injury? Then he blames the running back coach. And then eventually he takes acceptance for it. And there's probably a reason he does this, which will be explained later, as something that came out today. I don't know if you've seen this yet, but you've probably read it. The interview. I'll talk about it later then.
they get shut up by the Titans, and then the thing comes out where he was kicking the kicker. Oh, did I mention? I forgot the part where Marvin Jones, a leader who dealt with Matt Patricia and being on the Lions for majority of his career, walks out on the team. And Urban Meyer's like, nah, there's something wrong here. Shad Khan's like, I don't want to make too many assumptions. My entire team hates him. The media hates him. My fan base hates him. But he could still be the guy. And then the Josh Lambo stuff comes out after he gets shut out by the Titans. And I don't know if you saw the handshake he had with Mike Vrabel, but he looked like he wanted to beat the shit out of Mike Vrabel and was just like disrespected him as a person. Which he also mentions in the interview, but that's not important. And then he gets fired and does an interview. I believe the stuff got released for it today, where he said he wishes the best for Jacksonville and said, I want that team to have great success. I want that stadium to be filled. I'm just sad that it couldn't be me that did it. And he's like, one of the reasons I took this job is because I love the city of Jacksonville and I love the people in it. I thought the fans deserve better than what they've had, and I wanted to be the guy to fix all that. And then he talked about the losing part. And he talked about how much he hated losing. Like, he couldn't bear losing. Like, it would just eat him up inside and make him, like, terribly sad. He talked about how he had the couple momentum game against the Bills, who else did the Jags beat? I'm blanking. Who'd they beat? Dolphins. Yeah, he's like, we had momentum, thought everything was going good, and then James Robinson gets hurt during the bye, and he's like, well, then the offense couldn't function, and he doesn't even bring up the fact that he fucking benched the dude. But he talks about how much he hated losing. He's like, I think Shad Khan's a great loner, whatever, and the team will eventually be great, and that stadium will be filled. And Shad Khan even agreed to build a facility or something of the sorts. And he's just like, and he talks about in extensive detail how much he hates losing. And he denies all allegations against him. The kicking stuff, whatever. And he made no comment whether he thought it was the right decision for him to be fired. And that's just the issue. What do you want to comment on that? If you say no, I don't think so. Cool. You probably did, but cool. If you say yes, it's like, well, at least you're owning up to it. Sure, you're probably not going to get a job in the NFL again, but you can probably go back to fucking college. Think of how many desperate college teams there are right now. Like, different coaches already fucking everywhere. He also said no comment to something else. I think he was like no comment on his contract stuff with the team, because if you fire a coach without a reason, you have to pay the rest of his contract, like cutting a player in the NFL, kind of, But if the Jags come up with a reason, they don't have to pay the rest of his contract. So, if all these allegations are true, they don't have to pay shit to Urban Meyer. But if not, they will have to pay Urban Meyer. And they've apparently been in talks, but he doesn't say whether or not they're going well. So that's Urban Meyer. And I hope he never gets to coach anywhere again and proceeds to grind on co-eds in his bar. Alright, power rankings. Now, I haven't even looked at this yet. So this was made by my co-host Gavin, who's busy watching a show about truckers. Couldn't make it, so evens or odds, Gavin. Cool. Alright. So the bottom four, the limit, that's cool. Alright, number 32 is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Honestly, they should just go for firing Urban Meyer, but they also are the Jags. So, yeah.
fair. Neither are the Lions, who are 30. Yeah, but those teams are irrelevant. Now we have the team who's probably next to be eliminated, the Giants. Actually, no, they're not, because it's fucked in the fucking NFC. They get to somehow stay in. Whatever. Broncos, who might make it into the playoffs. It's a high possibility the Broncos make the playoffs if the Bills keep billing. So, that might be a problem. You called odds. That was like 20 seconds ago. That's impressive. Uh, 24, yeah, if you want to know who 24 is, go watch any of our other streams. The Texans. They beat the Niners, though. It's good for them. There's actually been... I don't want to mention it before it's taking too long. My football facts are... like, they just flood my brain. I'm a big analytics guy. I follow a lot of that shit. I find it so interesting. Falcons are 22. They could make the playoffs, which would be sad. Ugh. They could also make the playoffs. Next we have the Raiders, who maybe could have made a playoff run had they not had their entire team die, and then they got murdered by the Chiefs. Who's our quarterback? Is this Kyle? I don't know if Kyle Allen... Does Kyle Allen have COVID? They have like half their team on COVID. Alright. Vikings, they've been around this, and I feel like they've been in like this area the entire season. We haven't done this since probably they beat the Packers, so the entire list was messed up, and we're like, we're just not going to do it this week. We don't know what we're doing. But the Vikings beat the Steelers, but somehow looked bad doing it. Well, pretty much destroying a team, whatever. Vikings do Viking things. Now we have the Dolphins, who could make the playoffs. Their schedule's pretty easy. Like, their hardest, I think, matchup from here on out, they play the Pats and the Titans. But I believe they play the Jets. I don't know who else they play. So they play the Bills again. Actually, their schedule might be rough. Beat the Jets. You beat the Jets, you can probably beat the Titans. You can probably beat the Bills, too. You're capable of doing that. Maybe not the Pats. But you did it already. So, yeah, I actually do think. I think it is in Miami. Another miracle, real quick. And I quote, "Steelers are going to the Super." All right. Now we have the Niners, who I feel like are the most under the radar team in the NFL right now. Like, no one cares that they've been playing well. It's the Niners, you know.
The NFC East is still a shit show, by the way. Just because the Cowboys have a winning record doesn't mean the Cowboys are a good team. I mean, they might be. Okay, there's the AFC North division leader, who the Bengals is probably the most consistent team in that division. But, like, I mean, who else could it be? NFC North's fine, NFC West is fine, NFC South is fine, AFC South is fine. Well, okay, maybe not. But they're fine if they're not dying. AFC East, the Pats are generally consistent besides today. AFC North is... Ugh. And AFC West, the Chiefs have been really good since losing to the Titans. I mean, they could be. There's an argument to be made there. All right, 13. There's rumors that it's just an ankle sprain, and people are like, oh, it's just an ankle sprain. You do realize that, like, that limits his running ability so fucking much. Like, a high ankle sprain took Christian McCaffrey out this season and last season like 6 weeks. Like, it's not like maybe if it was like Tom Brady, a high ankle sprain is like, whatever. But for Lamar, we're like, he's such a dual threat quarterback, it's a problem. Anyway, Bills, you probably won't make it into the top 10 again this season unless you win a playoff game. Because you fucking suck. I already went on a tirade, but I went on like on a 5-minute tirade on the Bills. You came in like mid-tirade. No, I already did. That was at the beginning. Good for him. Tell me about the Bengals, who somehow snuck back in the top 10. Are they currently do they hold a playoff spot right now? I don't even know who the wildcard teams in the AFC are anymore. I know the Colts have one. Is it Colts, Bills, Colts? No, okay, hold on. I can check right now. Weird. Think about it. The Saints football team, Eagles, Giants, Panthers, or Falcons are going to hold a playoff spot, but the Bengals, the Raiders... Like, people say, like, the AFC's chaos right now, but they don't realize how terribly top-heavy the NFC is. It's not good. True. Alright, number 9. Dead air, let's go, baby. Probably, if we did this like 2 weeks ago, you might have been number 1, Pats. That's probably true. Hey, you know, the Cardinals still had the curse from like the last time I mentioned anything. I hope you don't live in Wisconsin. Alright, number 8 with the Cowboys, who are probably too high in all fairness. But, whatever, they lead a division, so they can stay. Hey, they shut out the Jaguars. And then they'll get blown up by the Steelers. But Henry might be coming back, and they have Julio again, and Kevin Byard's the best safety in the NFL, and Ryan Tannehill's okay. A.J. Brown's still hurt. The O-line sucks. Rashawn Evans is finally coming into form as soon as we have to fucking pay him. So is Harold Landry, we still haven't paid either. Fuck me. Jayon Brown has been kind of shit, but whatever. We don't have to pay him. Danico Autry's been great, and Janoris Jenkins is dog shit. Christian Fulton is good. Amani Hooker is also dog shit. And
Sorry, I just had to go on a rant about the Titans.
Next we have
The Cards somehow are this low.
Sure. Yeah, they lost to the Rams, who are a playoff contender and an actual one, but they can fall like 5 spots. Yeah, sure. Chiefs, who are number 5, who probably deserve to be here, as Madden is freaking out and not letting me just. All right, cool. I guess we're just going to go through the scroll wheel a while. The Chiefs have been great. Yeah. Number 4, we have the Chargers. The fuck? How did you get up here? How in the fuck did you sneak your way up here, Chargers? Alright, the Chargers are the new number 7. Every team that is they're on is moving up. Chargers are going down. The fucking Rams got up here. Sure, the Rams can stay, I guess. The Bucks are 2. I'm moving the Bucks up to 1 to prove a point. And the Packers are number 2 because the Bucks are number 1. Because, the Bucks beat the Bills, and people think the Bills are still a Super Bowl contender. Great. Alright, so that was our list. If you disagree, you will. Leave a like, subscribe. 100 and 200 subscribers, you get Any Clockers 3. Alright, guys. Anyways, this is Chatmendy. Your favorite. No, you're not. Don't forget about